Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, July 8th, 2020, and we are live, and we are going to look at. We are continuing with the book called Fundamentals of Christian Education, and today we are going to be looking at the chapter entitled The Home and the School. I don't know if I ever mentioned, I am not going to be looking at every single chapter. I'm going to look at the most essential ones, the most potent ones. What I've, according to what I've read. And so, and of course, I did mention that I was also going to be, I'm going to stop and then make another video on a different book after I do the 30th video. So when I hit number 30 for the videos, then I'm gonna start a new book because I'm gonna try to keep it interesting because I don't wanna bore everybody out, with the same book for at least a year, possibly. And so I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna go to a different book and then go back to that one and go back to the other one. That way, it's not always the same book. And so, welcome to all of you that are here. I'm not sure exactly. Let me put it right here instead. And so today we are looking at the book, the chapter called The Home and the School. And we are going to start. And it says in the chapter, it says, "It is the boast of the present age that never before did men possess so great facilities for the acquirement of knowledge, or manifest so general an interest in education. Yet, despite this vaunted progress, there exists an unparalleled spirit of insubordination and recklessness in the rising generation. Mental and moral degeneracy are well nigh universal. Popular education does not remedy the evil. The lax discipline in many institutions of learning has nearly destroyed their usefulness, and in some cases them a curse rather than a blessing. This fact has been seen and deployed, and earnest efforts have been made to remedy the defects in our educational system. There is urgent need of schools in which the youth may be trained to habits of self-control, application, and self-reliance, of respect for superiors and reverence for God. With such training, we might hope to see the young prepared to honor their Creator and bless their fellow men. It was to secure these objects that our own college at Battle Creek was founded. But those who endeavor to accomplish such a work find that their undertaking is fraught with many and grave difficulties. The evil which underlies all others, and which often counteracts the efforts of the best instructors, is to be found in the home discipline. Parents do not see the importance of shielding their children from the gilded temptations of this age. They do not exercise proper control themselves and hence do not rightly appreciate its values. So, um, the Seventh Day Adventist Church, in its original sanctity, I should say, was founded to help elevate the image of God. Well, of course, now it's a different story. Um, Not that it doesn't mean that we do not anymore, but to the extent that we used to when it was founded, it's totally different now. Now, what happens is we are in that time where we can actually we can simply take a phone and right out of the air just find any information we would like. Now, you would think that we would know much better, but in fact, it shows that we know less, especially when it comes to the Bible. Um, there was a time when people could not have a Bible, and if they had one, they would be killed. And because of that, because the Bible was very scarce, that's called the law of scarcity. Because it was very scarce, when people would find one, they would treasure it. Well, now you have like thousands of Bibles of versions. So why would you care about it? You know? So because it's no longer a scarcity, people would take it for granted. And and now because of that, we may have 2 or 3 Bibles in our home, but never read it. And kind of funny that somebody once said some Bible have been so dusty you can literally write condemnation on it. Basically, you get the point. So we as Christian, as Bible believing Christians, and those of you who are not but are um, watching this video, there is a time where we have to stop and think what the purpose of this life is. And so, if you didn't know, it is to fear God and keep His commandments. Not fear as of afraid, but fear as of respect and love Him, in a sense. And keep His commandment because His commandments are not grievous. So, now you get the point. Uh, let's see. Remember, this is talking about schools and the home. Many fathers and mothers err in failing to second the efforts of the faithful teacher. Youth and children, with their imperfect comprehension and undeveloped judgment, are not always able to understand all the teacher's plans and methods. Yet, when they bring home reports of what is said and done at school, these are discussed by the parents in the family circle, and the course of the teacher is criticized without restraint. Here, the children learn lessons that are not easily unlearned. Whenever they are subjected to unaccustomed restraint or required to apply themselves to hard study, they appeal to their injudicious parents for sympathy and indulgence. Thus, a spirit of unrest and discontent is encouraged. The school as a whole suffers from the demoral, demoral, demoraliza- demo- demoralizing influence. I actually study mathematics, so that's probably why. I'm just kidding. The school as a whole suffers from the demoralizing influence and the teacher's burden is rendered much heavier. But the greatest loss is sustained by the victims of parental mismanagement. Defects of character which a right training would have corrected are left to strengthen with years, to mar and perhaps destroy the usefulness of the possessor. Um, and yes, many parents are guilty of this. Um, my mom is also guilty of this, but in the opposite way. I'm actually gonna explain that. And I think, and actually, I have told her that too. Well, I couldn't tell her when I was a little child, but when I got older, then I told her those things. So what happened is many children they don't want to be restrained. They want to be rebels. And when the teacher is doing its best to keep them in line, they get angry and they tell their mom. They probably lie to their parents actually, and of course, parents that are very sensible. Uh, is that even a word? Sensible, emotional. I get that a better way. They quickly jump in and protect their children, and then they go to the teacher and they bash on the teacher, and they vilify the teacher, and they are very belligerent toward the teacher. When it comes to my mom, it's a different story. She's basically agreeing with the teacher 100%. Actually, she told us when we were younger, if you say something and the teacher says something different, then I'm gonna believe the teacher. Why? Because of course we've lied to her before, but she cannot ever believe that the teacher can also lie. And I've told her that many times. I don't do anything. I still get a bad grade. But she couldn't see it because in her mind, the teacher would not rob me of my good discipline. And if I had a bad discipline as a grade, it's because I did something bad. In some cases, I know I did. I didn't even fight on those things. But when I did it, uh, and of course, my mom would get angry at me for that. And of course, in my country, when your parents mostly gets angry at you, then the other part also comes in. And I hated that fight because I know I didn't do many of those things, yet I was getting punished for them. And I actually accused my mom for that of just believing whatever they tell about us without even knowing whether it could be true or false. And here, many parents, what they do is they go with the children. And some parents, in my mom case, they went with the professor. And what happened is they both are biased. One is biased towards the teacher, one is biased about the children, and they never look at both of the sides. And even when they get to hear both sides, they still side with the one that they feel like is most likely telling the truth, even when they could have been in a state of, I don't really know who is lying or not. And of course, in my mom's case, she never believed me. She always believed the teacher, which I told her that um actually I forgot what I told her, but uh I did tell her that I did accuse her of being biased, and of course she was like, "Whoa, I know you guys lied to me." And I'm like, "Don't you think that she can also lie to you too?" And of course, that's the thing. But so that's the issue. And sometimes what happens is in both ways, in both ways, the child, the child how do I say that? Becomes the victim because the teacher lies about him, about the child. Then the parents get mad, either at the teacher or at the child, because if the child says something and the parents obviously wants to be for the child, then they're not gonna correct that bad habit in the child, and so that child becomes a victim of the mismanagement of the parents. And when the teacher says something true about the child, about the bad behavior, and the parents side with the child, then the child becomes a victim of the parents' mismanagement. And when the teacher lies about the child's behavior and the parents side with the teacher, then the child also becomes the victim of mismanagement of the parents and this time of the teacher. And so in both extreme, it doesn't work. It has to be balanced. And so that's part of it too. So that's why it's called the home and school. As a rule, as a rule, it will be found that the students most ready to complain of school discipline are those who have received a superficial education. Having never been taught the necessity of thoroughness, they regard it with dislike. Parents have neglected to train their sons and daughters to the faithful performance of domestic duties. Children are permitted to spend their hours in play while father and mother toil on unceasingly. Few young persons feel that it is their duty to bear a part of the family burden. They are not taught that the indulgence of appetite or the pursuit of ease or pleasure is not the great aim of life. The family circle is the school in which the child received its first and most enduring lessons. Hence, parents should be much at home. By precept and example, they should teach their children the love and the fear of God, teach them to be intelligent, social, affectionate, to cultivate a habitat of industry, economy, and self denial. By giving their children love, sympathy, and encouragement at home, parents may provide for them a safe and welcome retreat from many of the world's temptations. So, what do we have here? Um, woohoo! Some people are not gonna be happy with what I just read because it goes against what they like to do actually. Let's break it down. Okay, parents. Uh, uh, you see, thank God I am not a parent because now I'm learning these things for a reason, I guess. Who knows? Maybe I'm supposed to be like Paul. You know, Paul actually gave advice to parents while being a single person, right? Okay. Just to clear, just to mention that point. Okay, parents, here's what you do that is wrong sometimes. Mostly mothers, I'm gonna say. And you know why I say mostly mothers? Because I see the difference between the father and the mother in that. I have many friends that have children that are no, not that they are married, but some of them are not, or actually not. They are married but not divorced. They're probably separated, and of course, the child or the children live with the mom. And the thing that I see she allows them to do, I'm like, I'm thinking, wait a minute, how would the dad allow that to happen? I don't know, and I don't think so either. And what the mother does is, the mother, she lets them do anything they want to make them happy, but in the end, they are actually unthankful and unholy. And actually, I did tell one of the, I was with her and the children one time, and I was taking them from the airport to their home, and we stopped by a place to get. She wanted to buy certain food, and she gave the child a food to eat, and the child was like, "No, I'm not gonna eat that. I don't want to eat that. I want to eat something else." And I kind of imagine, uh, and I told him actually, and I said, "Do you know what?" Um, I said, "Do you know that God doesn't like children that are unthankful?" I said, "Your mom gave you food and you say no, while somebody else who don't even have what you have would have been happy to have that, but yet you don't want it because you want something that you like." And I said, God doesn't like those type of children. I made it clear, but she wouldn't say that to them. And I found it very awful that mothers, and yes, I must say mothers, allow their children to do anything they want. The difference is my mom wasn't like that. I don't know. She's like, I was like, okay. Yeah, she wasn't like that when I was growing up. She wasn't ever. And but that's nowadays. And the mom, what would do? They would just be the one doing all the work and let them not do anything. And actually, even when they mess something up, the mom would be yelling at them because they did that, but she would not teach them to clean after themselves. So whenever I'm there and they make a mess, I call them and say, "Hey, you're gonna need to clean that right here, and clean in that one too, and that one." And I made them clean their own mess. Because when they do it and you yell at them and you don't make them clean it, then who cares? They know that you're still gonna yell, but you're gonna clean it anyways, so might as well just clean it. So I made them clean it. That way they know that nobody's gonna be cleaning for you your own mess. Second thing, parents needs to be at home more. And I want to say mothers should be at home more. I know the feminists. I don't want. Okay, I'm just saying. I know the feminist power girl, yay power girl, me too ish people will be very offended at this. But it's a fact. Most women would prefer to stay home than to be in the workplace because it's gonna be very stressful. And women can deal with the stress of children, not the stress of adults. If you know what I'm talking about. Most women would not want to be in a workplace. Uh, I know the history of that. It it came up because of men's fault at first because what men was doing bad things, and so women were complaining that, hey, we don't want to be in that kind of lifestyle. We want to be able to do that, to do these things, so we can take care of ourselves. Because the men back then, it's true, they were acting like pigs. Not all, but many of them were. But nowadays, it's just gone way offshoot, over the hill, over the cliff. But even today, when you ask most women, they would rather be at home with the children because it is something God put in them. God put that in the women. They want to be the nurturing ones, and the men be the one outside. If you have a wife and you're splitting the household, the house share, house duty 50-50, I can trust you 99% of the time. She's gonna want to say, you know what? I'll do the cooking, the dishes, the washing and the clothes, and you do the reparation in the kitchen, the reparation in the toilet, the grass, and all these things. It is a biological thing. It's not a social construct. It's just what it is. Whether you like it or not, the truth is the truth. I hope you still love me, but it's okay. And so, mothers and fathers, you have a duty at the home because your children need to learn. Actually, education is at the home. Instruction is in the school. At home, you get educated. At home, at school, you get instructed. Those are two different things. Now, no time, says the father. I have no time to give to the training of my children, no time for social and domestic enjoyments. Then you should not have taken upon yourself the responsibility of a family. By withholding from them the time which is justly theirs, you rob them of the education which they should have had at your hands. If you have children, you have to work to do in union with the mother in the formation of their characters. Those who feel that they have an imperative call to labor for the improvement of society, while their own children grow up undisciplined, should inquire the first missionary no, should inquire if they have not mistaken their duty. Their own household is the first missionary field in which parents are required to labor. Those who leave the home garden to grow up the thorns and briars, while they manifest great interest in the cultivation of their neighbor's plot of ground, are disregarding the word of God. I repeat, it is the lack of love and piety and the neglect of proper discipline at home that creates so much difficulty in schools and colleges. There is a fearful state of coldness and apathy among professed Christians. They are unfeeling, uncharitable, unforgiving, or they are. These evil traits first indulge at home, exert their baleful influence and courtesy. No, their baleful influence in all the associations of the daily life. If the spirit of kindness and courtesy were cherished by parents and children, it would be seen that also in the intercourse between the teacher and the pupil. Christ, Christ should be an honored guest in the family circle, and his presence is no less needed in the classroom. Would that the converting power of God might soften and subdue the hearts of parents and children, teachers and students, and transform them into the likeness of Christ. So, uh, as I mentioned earlier, education starts at home. Um, and many parents are failing to do their God duty. This is why, before you get married, you should know what you're going to get into. Um, but, If we forget to do our job in the home, then we can't really fix society, because our children will grow up and they become part, they should be useful to society, but because we've done a very poor and baleful job at raising them, educating them the right way, the right way, they are no use for society. For this reason, at home, we need to train them so that when they get to school, they can see that the parents did a great job. And of course, what happens is you can always raise them the proper way, but when they get to college, it could be a different story. We don't know what's going to happen. So, the home and the school, that was part one. Part two, we're going to look at it on Friday, January, July 10th. It's only two parts I'm gonna have for that one because it's not that much. And so we'll see you again on Friday around the same time, 6:30. And actually, I hope to see you again on Friday. Today was Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, July 8th, 2020. I hope to see you on Friday. And if I don't get to see you on Friday or I don't see you tomorrow at all, I hope to see you again when Jesus Christ comes the second time. Until then, bye for now.